So welcome back to history class. We are studying Indus Valley Civilization, which existed from 2500 BC till 1500 BC. So we had started Indus Valley Civilization in the last session, and now we are continuing with it. In this topic, we are going to cover the geographical extent of Indus Valley Civilization. There were around 1500 sites in Indus Valley Civilization. There were mostly cities and towns, and there were some villages. So there were around 1500 sites in IVC, and it extended over a large area or a vast area of around 12,50,000 square kilometers. Around 12,50,000 square kilometers. The Indus Valley Civilization spread over a large area. Where was this area? It was on the northwestern part of the Indian subcontinent, spanning regions of India, Pakistan and Afghanistan. So there were so many rivers. There were around 7 rivers, and on the banks of these rivers, some cities and villages and towns were on the banks of these rivers. Some were not on the bank, some were outside that region, or some were not away from the river banks. So where was the civilization? It was on the northwestern part of Indian subcontinent, through where the 7 rivers were flowing. Some sites were on the banks of rivers. Some sites were not on the banks of any rivers. So it spread over a large area which spanned an area of 12,50,000 square kilometers. And there were around 1,500 sites. And there were some site that was to the extreme north. There was some site that was towards the extreme south. There was some side that was towards the extreme east, one that was on the extreme west, then some that was on the extreme northwest. So we can learn the name of those sites. Instead of writing them as pure sentences, we can just mark them on a map. So this is north, south, east and west. The northernmost site of Indus Valley Civilization was at a place called Manda, which was in Jammu. Beyond Manda, no Indus Valley site have been discovered till date. And the southernmost site is at Daimabad. The southernmost discovered Indus Valley site is at Daimabad, which is in Maharashtra. The easternmost site is at Alamgirpur, which is near Meerut at UP. Which is near Meerut in UP. And the westernmost site is in Pakistan, and the site is named as Sutka Gendor. It is on the Makran coast at Balochistan in Pakistan. Pakistan is of this shape and is having 4 provinces or states. One is Balochistan, second is Sindh, third is Punjab, and the last one is Northwest Frontier Province. So on Balochistan there is this Makran coast. On the Makran coast we have the Indus Valley site of Sutka Gendor, which was effectively a port city. Okay. And the northwesternmost, there were 2 northwesternmost sites to Indus Valley Civilization, and they were Shotugai and Mundigak. Both of them are in Afghanistan. Shotugai and Mundigak. Northwesternmost sites there. Okay, so this is the rough geographical extent of Indus Valley Civilization. Let's have a table. Most of the major cities will be on the banks of some river. So we are going to look at the important Indus cities and the rivers on whose banks they are located, as well as their present location. The first major city is Harappa. Harappa is located on the banks of river Ravi. And its present location is Montgomery district in Pakistan. Montgomery district is actually in Punjab province of Pakistan. in Punjab province of Pakistan. As we all know, during our independence, our country was divided into Pakistan and India. And at that time, the earlier undivided Punjab was divided. One portion was given to Pakistan and one portion was given to India. So both the countries have places named as Punjab. So in Pakistan, there is this Punjab province, in that the Montgomery district, through which the river Ravi flows, and on the banks of that Ravi river, the Harappa was situated. And then the next city is Mohenjo-daro. And the next one is Chandhu-daro. It's similar in sound. Chandhu-daro. Mohenjo-daro and Chandhu-daro. Both of them are in Sindh province. Both of them are in Sindh province, Pakistan. Both of them are located on the banks of river Indus. Both of them are located on the banks of river Indus. And the next city is Lothal. It's an important city. It is on the banks of river Bogave. It is on the banks of river Bogave. It is located in Gujarat. Lothal is important because it was a major port city of Indus Valley Civilization. It was a major port city of Indus Valley Civilization. Also, it was important because Lothal is a port city. A port is a place where ships are anchored and ships undergo corrections or modifications, or it is a place where ships are made. It is an inland city. It is inside the land. Then how can it be a port? It was an artificial port. The land was dug and a large pond was created, a rectangular pond was created, and this port was created. But still there is a problem that ships cannot navigate through land and reach the port. For that they had used the river Bogave to connect the port to the sea. The river Bogave was used to connect the port to the sea to the artificial port. And Lothal was one of the first artificial or man-made port and dockyard in the world. Lothal was the first artificial or man-made port in the world. And it is on the banks of river Bogave, and it is located in Gujarat. Okay. And the next city is Kalibangan. Kalibangan, the word means black bangles. Kalibangan. Kalibangan is located in Rajasthan on the banks of river Gagar. On the banks of river Gagar. And the last city that we are looking at is Banavali. Banavali, which is also located on the banks of river Gagar. And it is located in Haryana. And it is located in Haryana. As we already know, the civilization got into its matured phase on and around 2500 BC. From there, it had developed all its major features. And that phase is known as mature phase of Indus Valley Civilization. From 2500 BC, it had all its prominent features. We are going to study what are the prominent features. So, the first feature that we are going to study is town planning. What is town planning? Town planning is the process by which someone will be planning an entire town or city and then building it properly according to the requirements of the plan. So nowadays we can see there are planning departments, plan boards for that same purpose. But still in our country, the roads will be somewhat like this. The drainage system will be like this. We can see that in only very few cities there are proper town planning. Say for example Chandigarh, which is the most well-planned city in India. But in Indus Valley Civilization, we can see that there existed a clear-cut town planning. Most of the major cities were divided into two sections Most of the major cities were divided into two sections. This is from the top view. There was an eastern section and there was a western section. The sun rises from the east. This is the east and this is the west. The city was divided into an eastern section and a western section. And from the front we can see that these two sections were like this from the front view. This is the ground level. The eastern section, there were buildings on the ground level. In the eastern section, there were buildings on the ground level. But in the western section, the buildings were built over a raised platform. The buildings were built on a raised platform. And most of the time, the raised platform would be having an outer wall called citadel. The whole structure will be called as citadel. The western section, there will be buildings built over a raised platform which will be with outer walls or forts. This fortified raised structure is called a citadel. So the main feature of the towns or cities in Indus Valley Civilization is that the cities would be divided into two sections, an eastern section and a western section. The eastern section will be on ground level. The buildings will be built on the ground level itself. And on the western section, there will be a raised, fortified platform on which the buildings will be built. Smaller buildings or houses of the common man, buildings that look like the houses of the common man were seen in the eastern section. Whereas bigger buildings were seen in the western section. Bigger buildings that look like public buildings or government buildings or buildings that were related to the ruling class were seen in the western section. So there was this kind of a division there. And in western section of the major cities like Mohenjo-daro, there were some important buildings. In Mohenjo-daro, we had seen some important buildings that look like public buildings. Public buildings means buildings related to the government or buildings for the common use of everyone. So those kinds of buildings were seen in the western section, and prominent examples are seen from Mohenjo-daro, where there was this great bath. Great bath was a big artificial pond, where was something like a swimming pool, where people went for, we don't know, maybe for bathing or maybe for religious bathing. Anyway, there were rooms around this great bath where people changed their clothes. There was a well near it. From where water was taken to the great bath, and from there, when the water gets dirty, it was taken out using drainage pipes. So those kinds of common buildings were there. Those kinds of public buildings were seen in western section. In Mohenjo-daro, there was this great bath, then great bath, like a big swimming pool or like a big pond. That was there. Then there was a great granary. Great granary was seen in the western section. Great granary is a place where you store food grains. There was a big round platform made with bricks in there, from where it was a round platform. The upper structure is missing. Now only the platform is there. And the platform is made by laying burnt bricks. We will study that all the constructions in IVC is made with burnt bricks. Everything is made with burnt bricks. And we can see that in between the bricks there are remains of food grains, like the husk of rice or wheat. The remains of such food grains can be seen. Then we came to identify that these platforms were the places where food grains were kept in heaps. The food grains were piles of food grains were kept here. There might have been an outer structure to protect it, but that is lost. Only the platform is there. So we came to know that it is a big platform. Hence, the historians who had identified these sites gave it the name Great Granary. The bath was given the name Great Bath. All these things are seen in Mohenjo-daro. So such public buildings or buildings for public use was seen in the western section. So that is one part of town plan. The towns, major towns and cities were divided into two sections. And the next important point of town planning is that the construction of roads. See, one thing we have to remember, every building, every construction in Indus Valley Civilization was made with burned bricks. They were stronger and they lasted better during rain, sun and everything. Okay, so they can be used to make bigger buildings, stronger buildings. Such buildings were seen in Indus Valley Civilization. Such burnt bricks, usage of burnt bricks was not seen in any other contemporary civilization at that time. So this and the town planning made the cities of Indus Valley Civilization much better than the rest of the civilizations in the world at that time. So the next thing that we are going to study in town planning is construction of roads. In all the major cities, there was a main road or a main lane running in a straight line throughout the city. So throughout the center of the city, there will be a main lane or main line running. Then there will be side lanes or smaller roads going out from the main lane. These side lanes will always be cutting the main lane at 90 degree, perfect 90 degree. Hence, these are the side lanes or the side roads. The main lane and side lanes always intersected at perfect 90 degrees. No other angle, not like our roads. Some roads will be coming and joining like this, some roads will be turning and joining like this. Nothing like that. It's perfectly having a perfect 90 degree cut, and these lanes divided the entire city into grid pattern. See, it looked like a perfect grid or net. The buildings will be situated like this, and hence the lanes divided the city into a perfect grid. This made it into a grid system, a perfect grid pattern. Grid is perfectly lines at perfectly 90 degree. So it made a perfect grid pattern. So I have told you that there is this road, main lane and side lanes. How are these lanes made? Not with tar. These lanes were also made by paving burned bricks, by laying burned bricks or paving burned bricks on the floor. These roads are also made by putting putting burned bricks on the ground. Okay, so the roads are also made with burned bricks. Okay, and the lanes were designed in such a way that they created the city into grids, perfect rectangles and squares between which the buildings were constructed. Okay, and the next feature of town planning is drainage system. Drainage system. Drainage system is needed for taking out wastewater from each and every building. So they had a well-developed underground drainage system. Just like we also have an underground drainage system which is not that developed, but they had a well-developed underground drainage system. There was a main drain or a major drain running parallel to the main road. There was a big drain running parallel to the main road. These drainage holes, if you take a cross section, it looked like this. If you cut the ground and look from the front, it looked like somewhat like this. And how are these built? They were also built by paving bricks. They were also made by paving bricks. So drainage system was also made by paving or laying bricks on the surfaces, floor and wall surfaces. They were paved with bricks, and they were covered by either stone slabs or bricks. They were covered by either stone slabs or bricks. So they had an underground drainage system. There was a main drain running parallel to the main road. Then there were smaller drains coming out of buildings. This is a building, or suppose this is a house. From that house, the wastewater is coming out through a small pipe that is joining the smaller drain here. That smaller drain joins the bigger drain. From every building, using smaller drains, the wastewater will reach the main drain. and all these drains are made by paving burnt bricks, and all these drains are covered with stone slabs or burnt bricks. And at regular intervals there will be cesspits. Cesspits means there is a drain like this, it will be going, suppose this is a drain, wastewater is going like this. At some places there will be depressions. Such depressions are called cesspits. Even our drains have the cesspits, because when the wastewater is coming, there might be solid waste there. Like if the water is coming from our closets, there will be fecal matter in that, or there will be some other waste there. So those waste will be flowing, the water will be flowing, and the solid remains waste will be accumulating here. Then the water will be flowing. Then there is opening here on the top. Such openings are called manholes. Manholes are covered by slabs that can be easily removed. Some people, they are called manholes because some men will come and remove the covering, remove the slab and get inside and clean it manually. Hence they are called manholes. Holes for men to get inside. So there are proper cesspits at regular intervals. There are proper cesspits on the ground at regular intervals. There are manholes for cleaning. So they had a proper drainage system. See, remember, they had a well-developed, well-planned and designed town. They had a proper drainage system. Okay. The next important feature of mature phase is construction of houses. How the Indus Valley people had constructed their houses. Houses were usually seen on the eastern section. And there were major lanes, there were side lanes. Most of the houses had the front door facing the side lanes only and not the major lane. It might have been for privacy reasons, because most of the traffic will be going through the major lane. And if you had your front door opening to the major lane, everyone who are going through the road can see what is going on inside. Hence, maybe for privacy reasons, they have kept the main door opening towards the side lanes. All the buildings, including houses, were made with burnt bricks. Next important feature, the walls of the house is made with burnt bricks. And what was the ceiling made of? The ceilings were made of timber, mud, reed. It's a long straw-like structure. Straw that you get from paddy field. So timber, mud, reed, leaves, etc. They made their roofs with those things. Usually houses were of a single story, a single floor there will be there. Single-storied houses were in common, but there were few houses that had two stories. There were a few houses that had 2 stories, 2 floors. There were a few 2-story houses. How did we know that those houses had 2 stories? Because the ground floor we have identified staircases. That's how we came to know that there was one more floor above it. Hence, very few 2-storied houses were also identified. The most important feature of the houses were that they had a bathroom inside them. They had bathrooms inside them. What for? For the people to clean themselves, to take a bath. They had a bathroom inside the house, and the bathrooms were also laid with the burnt bricks. The floor of the bathroom and everything were also layered with or paved with the burnt bricks. So they want water to clean themselves, right? So they had wells either attached to the house or within the house. They had either a well within the house or attached to the house, from where they will take water into the washroom. They will clean themselves and take the wastewater out of the house and give it to smaller drains, from where it will go to the major drain. Okay. So they had a washroom or bathroom. Then they had wells within the house. This was a must. Then most of the houses had a front door, but windows were lacking. They did not have windows, but they had round openings for ventilation on top of the door. Windows were very much in few numbers. It was lacking usually. Usually what they had were round openings at the top for ventilation. Then most of the houses had a central opening or central courtyard. Like the houses you find in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, they had a central courtyard or opening for light and air to enter. But they had windows, very few windows only, windows were very less. This was the basic construction of houses. From this, there is an important mains perspective point that we have to understand. That is, they had well-developed drainage system. Indus Valley people had well-developed drainage system, as well as they had bathrooms and wells attached to houses. They had bathrooms and wells attached to houses. All these points shows that the importance that the Indus Valley people had attached to cleanliness and hygiene. Cleanliness, hygiene and health. All these things, the drainage, well-developed drainage system, the presence of bathrooms and wells with houses, all these systems showed the importance that these people attached to cleanliness, hygiene and health. The next point after town planning in mature phase is economy. What is economy? How a person or a group of people find their resources that they require to meet their needs is what we call as economy. How they find the resources and how they utilize those resources to get the maximum out of them. In economy, what we usually study is how they find food or what is their major occupation. So the major occupation of the Indus Valley people, we can state it as two of them. There are two major economy or two major occupations that they have. The first one was agriculture, because of which the civilization had developed initially, and the second one is trade. There were so many other occupations that the people of that time had practiced, but the most prevalent occupations among them, or the most prevalent economic activities at that period were, first one was agriculture and the second one was trade. Why? It was simply because the civilization came into existence because of the presence of those rivers. The 7 rivers that we had learned. Those 7 rivers are located in the northwestern part of Indian subcontinent. In India, in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, like that, these rivers are flowing. But when we consider the geography of this area, it is very much a dry area because of very less annual rainfall. It is having dry and desertic conditions. Because of the presence of these rivers, there are plants growing here. There are greenery here. If these rivers were not there, the area would have been very much dry and it could have become a desert. Because the average rainfall is much less than 65 centimeter per year. So because of these rivers, the land on both the sides of the rivers are green and fertile and plants are growing there. Hence, from olden days, people just settled there because of the presence of water and greenery, and they started cultivating there, and hence this civilization came into existence at that place in the beginning. And later, this civilization has got such a long coastal line. See, there is Pakistan, there is India, and this area has got a long coastal line. If there is a coastal line, then you can have easy access to the sea. Then you can get materials from the sea by fishing. You can get seashells. Also, you can make ships and boats, and you can sell what all things you manufacture here, or what all things you create here, or what all things you collect here. You can put them in a ship and take them to different parts of the world and sell them, meaning you can start trade. Because of the presence of such a coastline, later they also started trade, and these two became the major occupations of the Indus Valley people. There were so many other trades and occupations. There were other occupations also, which we will see. But before that, we will first go into agriculture. So the major occupation of Indus Valley people was agriculture. And how do we know that they practice agriculture? Agriculture is done on land, right? And for sowing the seeds, you need to plow the ground. Plowing needs equipments like plowshare. Plowshare is something that you make out of wood. In earlier days, you make it of wood and you tie it to an animal, and it will drag it, and it will go through the ground, and you will plow the ground. You will mix the ground with air and aerate the ground, and it will finally be in a shape like this, right? So if we know that they practice agriculture on a vast basis, we should get evidence of agriculture. The evidence of agriculture was usually obtained from getting remnants of plowshare, or you should get other things, other equipments that were used. But we didn't get any of these equipments. Instead, what we got were, there were plowshare markings on the ground. Plowshare markings are that when the plow is going through the ground, it will make depressions like this, and the rest of the portion will be raised like this, and then air will enter into the inside the soil and aerate the soil so that it will be suitable for cultivation. That's why we plow the ground before cultivating. And what we obtained were these kinds of markings from the ground. How did we obtain them? The archaeologist who dug the ground knows how to differentiate between different layers. Suppose one layer we are plowing, and this, when we cut the ground, we see the ground layer like this. After some point of time, due to wind and other activities, some more dirt or sand will come on top of this. It will be a different layer because this layer has maybe got a little bit stiffened or hardened. With time, more and more dirt or sand will come aboard, and all of it will create a different layer because it came at a different point of time. The constitution will be different, the hardening time will be different. When the archaeologists cut the layer, they can identify the difference between different layers. So this kind of shapes or plowshare markings were seen on the ground, and they came to the conclusion that agriculture was the major occupation of these people because of the plowshare marking. And what we have to learn is like write the point, or we have to learn the point that the evidence of ploughing or the plowshare marking were obtained from the city of Kalibangan. The evidence of plowshare marking or ploughing was obtained from the city of Kalibangan and Banavali. Kalibangan and Banavali. Staple food or staple crops are the crops or food grains that we have as a part of our major meal, or the major constituent of our meal. And their main food crop was wheat and barley. For the Indus people, their main food crop was wheat and barley. How did we know? Because these were the food grains whose remnants or waste that we had obtained in most number from most of the places. From most of the places we had got remains of wheat and barley. From most of the storing places, what we have got was wheat and barley. So their main food crop was wheat and barley. Rice was used, but to a very less extent. The evidence of rice was obtained from Lothal and Rangpur. The evidence of rice was obtained from Lothal and Rangpur. Both of them are in Gujarat. The evidence of rice was obtained only from Lothal and Rangpur. The other crops that they had cultivated were legumes, peas, cotton, sesame, etc. Sesame, dates, mustard, etc. All these they had cultivated. Out of which cotton was very important because IBC was the first country in the world that had cultivated cotton and manufactured cotton products and had exported it to different parts of the world. Cotton was first exported to different parts of the world from India or from Indus Valley Civilization. And when that cotton reached Greek countries, they were not able to pronounce. Sorry, they were when the cotton reached Greeks, the Greeks called it as Sindon. The Greeks called it as Sindon since this cotton was coming from the land of Sindhu. Sindhu was the ancient name given to river Indus, and we came to know about this name from the Rig Veda. The Greeks can't pronounce most of the Indian words, and hence we got the name Indus for the river Sindhu from that. From them, the Greeks had called the river Sindhu as Indus. The same Greeks had called cotton as Sindon, and from this name Indus we got the name India. Then India has got another name called Hindustan. The Arabs who came to have trade with India cannot pronounce Sindhu. Hence they pronounced it as Hindu. And from there, from the stan of Hindu, or India is the place or region of the river Hindu, and hence they called it as Hindustan. That's how our country got the name Hindustan. Then the name Bharat was obtained from an old clan and a king called as Bharata. From him we got the name Bharat. Okay. And the next point in agriculture is that with agriculture we have domestication of animals also. So there are a long list of animals that the Indus Valley people either knew about or they had domesticated. Some animals they had domesticated with them, or some animals will be there that they just knew about them. Okay, so I'll give you the list of the animals that they either knew or they domesticated: cat, dog, sheep, goat, lion, elephant, tiger, elephant, camel, rhinoceros. So with agriculture, there were animals that we had either domesticated or we knew about. So these were the animals that the Indus Valley people knew: cat, dog, sheep, goat, tiger, elephant, camel, rhinoceros, etc. Some of them they had domesticated cat and dog for companionship, sheep, goat, camel, etc. for their use. Then they knew about tiger, elephant, rhinoceros, etc. Then the question comes, does they knew about lion? There was no evidence of lion. The evidence of these animals comes from they had made some things called as seals. Seals were effectively rectangular slabs either made out of copper or bronze or from clay, terracotta, materials like that. There might be images of these animals, or there might be small toys of these animals, or there might be small figures and figurines, meaning statues of these animals. There were bulls that they knew. So we got the evidence from these artifacts that they knew or domesticated such animals. We never got evidence of lion from it, which means they never knew about lion. Then there is some animals we also got their remains, like their bones and everything. Then there is this animal called as horse. The remains of horse was obtained from one city, Surkotada, which means they only from Surkotada we got remains of horse, meaning skeletons and all, only from Surkotada, meaning there was very few horse there in Indus Valley civilization, which means that they never domesticated or kept horses with them, but somehow one or two horses came there. They don't know how. Okay, only the remain of horse was obtained in Surkotada. Okay, this is about agriculture. What is trade? Trade is the process in which some people will buy something from one place or make something from one place and take it to another place and sell it there so that they can earn more. There are two kinds of trade. One is internal trade and the second one is external trade. Internal trade means selling or buying of something within the boundary of within the definite boundary of a place. If you are crossing the boundary and going outside the boundary to buy or sell things, then it is called external trade. So internal trade is within the domestic area of that region, and external trade will be outside the domestic area of that region. And external trade can be of two types. External trade from Indus Valley civilization can be of two types. It can be either from Indus Valley sites, it can go out either through the land, or it can go either over the land, or it can go through water or over water. So there is overland trade and there is overseas trade. So external trade can be either over land or over the seas. We had all these three modes of trade was prevalent. And in external trade there are two kinds of things happening. Either you sell outside or you buy from outside, and that's called selling outside our boundary is called exporting, and we are buying something and taking inside our land or coming inside our land, it is known as importing. So there are either export or import. There were so many things that's manufactured in Indus Valley civilization that they had made there, sold there, and extra materials they will export to different parts of the world. Different parts of the world also includes different parts of modern India, because Indus Valley civilization is only existent in this area, right? So even if these people are buying seashells from Gujarat, which is outside, places outside the boundary, if they are buying something from there, that can also be considered as an import. But since Gujarat is inside, it's not considered as an import. But if they are buying gold from Karnataka region, from the Kolar gold fields, from KGF, if they are buying gold to Indus Valley civilization, then that is considered as an import into the civilization. Okay. So basically import and export should only take outside the boundaries. It can be anywhere, modern India or not, it doesn't matter. Okay. So we will look into what all things were exported and what all things were imported. Basically, what all things that we had exported, sold outside, were the things that we got in abundance. Like the toys that we made, toys and artifacts that we made. Then ivory, the tusk of the elephant. Then seashells. And one of the major exporting material was cotton. Then there were food grains. We manufactured beads for making ornaments. Those beads we exported. These were our major exports. So our major exports were agricultural products, which included food grains, cotton, etc. Then we had toys and everything, toys, statues, figures, etc. made out of terracotta figures. Then we had our pottery exported. See, pottery means utensils that are made out of clay for our purposes. So in different period of time, like IVC, Vedic period, people use different kinds of pottery. Pottery would be different when their shape is different, the material that they use to make is different, the outer painting work and design work that changes, all those things. And during Indus Valley period, the major kind of pottery that they used were called as cemetery etchware. Cemetery etchware. This name was not given to the pottery by the Indus Valley people, but this name was given to this specific kind of pottery by the historians who had identified it. When they were excavating Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, especially Mohenjo-daro, from the cemetery numbered as H, they got these pottery, the samples of these pottery for the first time. Hence they named this kind of pottery as cemetery etchware. It has got a specific color. It has got a specific design work for that. They just got the remains of the pottery. So wherever they got the such kinds of remains, they said these are the cemetery etchware of pottery, and the place from where they got the remains, those are also part of Indus Valley civilization. So that is the main importance of pottery. They are also artifacts that are used to identify the location of a particular period or civilization, because you can always get some material remains and you can make it undergo radiocarbon dating and calculate the time period, and you can definitely say that this thing was made or used 2500 years before, 5000 years before, so it was seen in so and so period, and hence wherever you get such material, it belonged to that period. You can easily say that. So like that, in Indus Valley civilization there were so many types of pottery, but the major type of pottery that the archaeologists had got was the cemetery etchware. Likewise, in Vedic period we will see they have so many different kinds of pottery. Out of that, 4 of them were important, and out of those 4, one was the most numerous pottery in evidence, and that is called painted graveware. Painted graveware. It is a grey color pottery which is painted to make design. Painted graveware or PGW. And the Vedic period sites were identified from all the places where they got PGW, remains of PGW pottery. Wherever they got painted graveware pottery, they say this is an Vedic period site. Wherever they got cemetery etchware pottery, they would say this is a Indus Valley site. So you should remember, Indus Valley sites typical type of pottery is cemetery etchware, whereas Vedic period the typical type of pottery is painted graveware. Lothal and Sutkagendor were 2 major port cities of IVC. They were not the only 2 port cities, they were one of the most important two port cities of Indus Valley civilization. Lothal and Sutkagendor were one of the 2 most important port cities of Indus Valley civilization. For having external overseas trade, you need port cities, so that you can have ships going from those port cities. People will come with their artifacts there, they will load it into ships, and the ships will go from there. And we had external trade with many countries like Mesopotamia. We had external trade with many important countries at that time, like Mesopotamia. See, Mesopotamia is somewhere here. So from India the ships went like this, and from there things were taken there. Overseas trade is always easier and faster than overland trade. In overland trade there is so many difficulties and so many chances of people murdering you to get your stuff, which is much lesser in overseas trade, and it is faster also. So we had overseas trade with Mesopotamia. It had gone through the Gulf region, where we had trade also with Oman and Bahrain. We had traded Oman and Bahrain coast. So we had overseas trade with Mesopotamia, Oman, Bahrain. Mesopotamia is modern Iraq region. So we had trade in modern Iraq region. So we had overseas trade with Mesopotamia, Oman, Bahrain, etc. And the Mesopotamians called IVC people as Meluha in their documents. The IVC people were known as Meluha in their documents. The Mesopotamians imported many copper, many semi-precious stones, cotton, ivory, etc., seashells, etc. from the Indus Valley people. They got these things from the Indus Valley people. They had imported copper, semi-precious stones like lapis lazuli, so many semi-precious stones, carnelian, jade, etc. They got then cotton, ivory, seashells, etc. They had imported from IVC. Those are the exports of the IVC people. We exported them to Mesopotamia. Okay. Now we will see the important imports that the IVC people had. Okay, we will have a small table where we will have two columns. One is the import, what material they had imported, to the source of the material. The first one is gold. See, the northwestern part of Indian subcontinent is a place where there were some rivers. Nothing else it had. It was deficient in minerals. So most of the minerals and metals that they had to use, they had to import. Okay. See, the people in IVC they very much loved to wear ornaments. Both men and women wore ornaments made of gold, copper, silver, etc. Even they had artifacts or materials made out of these precious metals. All these things they had to actually import first to their place. Then only they can make artifacts out of that. So gold was actually imported to Indus Valley Civilization mainly from the mainly from the Kolar goldfields, of Karnataka, KGF, the Kolar goldfields of Karnataka. See, don't think that this is also part of India and hence how can we call it as import. This was a place outside the Indus Valley Civilization. Hence, this is equivalent to an import. Okay. The gold was primarily imported from the Kolar goldfields and also it was identified from the river beds of Himalayan rivers. See, gold is obtained in many parts of the world on the bottom side of the rivers. When the rivers are flowing, some of the rivers in the world have gold deposits or gold rich stones on the bottom of those rivers. Likewise, our Himalayan rivers also have gold deposit on the river beds, like small stones. So gold was obtained from Kolar goldfields and then the river beds of Himalayan rivers. And the next material that they had imported was silver. Silver was obtained from the Jawar mines in Rajasthan. Silver was obtained from the Jawar mines in Rajasthan and also from Mesopotamia. Next is a semi-precious stone called lapis lazuli. It's a blue colored stone and it was obtained from Badakhshan mines. In Afghanistan. And the next material that is imported is turquoise and jade. Both of them are semi-precious stones, turquoise and jade. Both of them are imported from Central Asia. Then there are other semi-precious stone like agate, agate, chalcedony and carnelian, which are imported from Western India. Agate, chalcedony and carnelian, which are imported from Western India. Then there are seashells. Which are imported from Gujarat and neighboring coast. Then we have timber and other forest produce. Timber, wood and other forest produce, things that we get from forest. They are obtained from Jammu and other upper regions. They are brought to Indus Valley sites through the rivers. They are just put into the river and it will flow along with the river and reach the bottom portion in the Indus Valley sites. Okay. So these were the major imports of the Indus Valley people. Out of the mature phase, the next thing that we have to study is religion. What religion did these people follow? We don't know what was the exact religion, but we know the deities or gods and goddesses that they had worshipped. And the first one was Mother Goddess. It was the figure of a lady It was the statue of a lady, figurine of a lady, from whose stomach a plant was growing out. And she was known as the mother goddess, and she represented the god of fertility. Maybe she was needed, she was prayed to when they were going to start agriculture or when they were getting kids. Maybe she was the one to whom they were praying. Okay, the first one is mother goddess. Then the second one is Pashupati Shiva or Proto Shiva. Pashupati Shiva or Proto Shiva. It was a human figure, a man's figure, obtained from a seal. Seal is a rectangular slab, the use of which we don't know exactly, but we have inferences for it, on which there is a throne-like structure on which the man is sitting with one feet over the other, just like when the Indian people sit on the floor with one foot over the other for eating. Just like that, he was sitting there. Then he is there. He is wearing a crown with two horns, and there are 4 animals around him: elephant, rhinoceros, tiger, like that. 4 animals were there around him. Then there were 2 deers on the floor. This is a modern art. I don't think you will be able to draw it as beautiful as I have done. But this was somewhat the contents of the slab was. Okay, so this figure, they guessed, the historians or the archaeologists guessed it as it must be a sage who must be a protector of animals. So like that, there is a god in our mythology, and that is our Shiva. And the head of the archaeological department, Sir John Marshall, named this figure. Sir John Marshall, we are hearing this name for the second time now. Sir John Marshall has named this figure as Proto Shiva, or the first form of Shiva. Or he also gave the other name Pashupati Shiva. Pashupati means Shiva. Shiva who is looking after Pashus or animals, cattle. So this figure was given the name Proto Shiva or Proto Shiva. That name was given by Sir John Marshall, or it is also known as Pashupati Shiva. So this is the second figure that the Indus Valley people had worshipped. This god must have been for preserving animals, because he was surrounded by so many animals. Maybe that god was for giving protection and strength to animals. Okay, so this is the second figure or the second god that the Indus Valley people might have worshipped. And the third one is tree worship. See, again, from a slab, terracotta seal, there was a human face among people tree leaves. There were so many people tree leaves. In between, there was a human face. So this is considered to be as the personification of the people tree, which means they might have worshipped this figure. See, there are rectangular slabs made out of different materials. These rectangular slabs, some of the rectangular slabs have some markings showing like those slabs was used for worship. Like there are figures of gods in temples on whose forehead we will put a mark. Just like that, marks were seen in such slabs, and some of them might have been used for worship. Then such seals might have been used for trade purposes. When there is a trade, you will be giving this seal maybe as a token of exchange, like money, as a token of exchange, or maybe these seals will be used as a form of record for trade purposes. We don't know actually exactly for what purpose these seals are used. The inference of the historians are that maybe they are used for worshipping, or maybe they are used as a form of exchange like money, or they may be used as a document for trade. We don't know the exact purpose of the seals because their language is not completely deciphered till now. We will study about language after religion. We will come to it later. So tree worship is also from a seal where there is a human face seen in between the leaves of a peepal tree. So maybe that face is considered as a people tree and it must have been worshipped. So the third figure that was supposedly worshipped by the Indus Valley people is trees. And the fourth one is animal worship. Seals and figures of bulls and other animals were seen to be worshipped. The prominent animals that were worshipped were hummed and humbless bull. Hummed bull. Hummed bull means a bull that is having a hump on its back. Hummed bull. And then the normal bull without a hump, the humbless bull. Hummed bulls, humbless bulls. Then a one-horned structure that looked like unicorn. It might have been a rhinoceros. They were worshipped. So different kinds of animals were seen in seals that looked like it were worshipped. So there was animal worship prevalent at that time. The main worship was hummed bull and humbless bull. We can see that it is kind of a continuation of culture in our contemporary culture, whereas in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, hummed bulls are still being worshipped. In different places in Kerala and in Tamil Nadu, hummed and humbless bulls are worshipped, which means that these could have been the continuation of those kinds of cultures. Could have been the continuation of those kinds of culture. Okay, then and the last one is water worship. Water must have been worshipped. How do we know it? From the evidence or the existence of the Great Bath. See, in Mohenjo-daro there is a Great Bath in the western section, as we know. That Great Bath was a large pond, like a swimming pool. People will not have gone there to take a bath there, because people used to live here in the eastern section. They have a house with a bathroom inside. So why do they have to go there and take a bath? So that the Great Bath in the western section will not be for usual bathing purposes. It might have been for something else. From olden days in our country, bathing is related to rituals, relating to religion. In many religions, including Hinduism, bathing is done for religious purpose, like praying to the sun god, using Gayatri mantra, like that. Then whenever someone is dead, their ashes will be cremated, their ashes will be thrown into the water. So water is important for religious bathing, known as ablution. Religious ablution. So this water tank or the Great Bath must have been used for religious worship, meaning they must have worshipped water. So these were the things, or these were the elements that were worshipped by the Indus Valley people. Mother Goddess was there, Pashupati Shiva or Proto Shiva was there, tree worship, animal worship, water worship must have been there. Okay. Then there is another prominent figure called the phallus or Shivalinga worship. Linga or phallus represents the stone figure of Shiva. We have seen in Hindu temples and culture, the phallus shaped figure made out of stone was made during Indus Valley period also. The Indus Valley people had also structures similar to our Shivalinga made out of stone, that also had the marking of the sandal. And that must have also been worshipped by these people. That Shivalinga Aradhana or the phallus worship is still existent in Indian culture now. So we can also guess that it must have been a cultural descent or cultural continuation till date. Likewise, the Proto Shiva was also worshipped in IVC culture. So that must also have been a cultural continuation in India. Okay, so these are the main things that worshipped by the Indus Valley people: Mother Goddess, Pashupati Shiva, tree worship, animal worship, water worship, phallus worship, and linga worship. Okay, the next topic is language. So, what exactly is the source of the language of the people? Meaning, from where did we get specimens of the language of IVC people? It was mainly obtained from the seals. The seals had some pictures. Along with that, there were some writings. The specimens of the language was very few. We only obtained it from seals. There weren't any other kind of documents there. And from the seal, we have come to identify their script. It was something like pictures. They had images for a single word. They had a single image for a single word. So their script means how a language is written. For English, the script is its alphabet ABCD. Likewise, the language of IVC people was written using the script which was pictographic. Their script was pictographic, meaning they used pictures for representing words or symbols. Okay, they used images and symbols to represent words. So their script was pictographic. Okay, and we write from left to right, from left to right, from left to right. Every line we write from left to right. But the Indus Valley people wrote in such a way that if they wrote the first line from left to right, the second line they will write from right to left. Again the next line they will write from left to right. Meaning adjacent lines are written in opposite direction. This kind of writing is known as boostrophed. This type of writing style is known as boostrophed. It was easier for them to write it that way because they just made figures or pictures that they can do in any way. But our common language we cannot write in left, right, we can't write because it's difficult because of the way it is being written. Okay, so their writing style was known as boostrophed, meaning adjacent lines are written in opposite direction. If you write one line from left to right, then you write the next line in the opposite direction. So the writing style is called as boostrophed. So we only have very limited source or resources about their language, specimens of their language, and our Indian government could not decipher it properly till now, and hence we don't know what exactly they are meaning. So they just write their language is till now undeciphered, hasn't been decoded till now. The language is still undeciphered. So we don't know much about their language or religion or the form of government or what was their history. We don't know much details. If we knew how to decode or decipher their language, we will know more things about them from this, at least from the seals. There are very few literary sources of information. Most of it is from only the seals. And then in Lothal, there was a big signboard in Lothal, with some writings in there. That is the one of the first identified signboard or billboard in the world. That was identified from Lothal. One of the first identified signboard or billboard in the world is from Lothal. That also has some writing in the Indus Valley language. But since the language is undeciphered, we don't know much about the form of government, much about whether they like to do war or much details about their society. We don't know from these writings because these writings are still undeciphered. One more point on language is that their language is known as Proto-Dravidian. Proto-Dravidian language. Have you heard of a Dravidian language? Dravidian language is the family of language seen in southern India. It includes languages like Kannada, Telugu, modern Tamil, Malayalam, Tulu. Such languages have originated from an old language called as Dravidian or ancient Tamil, from which these languages have evolved out. Including modern Tamil, it had evolved out of the ancient Tamil language called the Dravidian language. Proto-Dravidian language is the language that existed before Dravidian language. The Dravidian language is supposed to have evolved from the Proto-Dravidian language. So that was, this Proto-Dravidian language was the language in existence in India a lot of centuries before. Around 2500 BC, the language that existed in the mainland India was Proto-Dravidian. From it, later the Dravidian language evolved. It developed and evolved into the Dravidian language. From that Dravidian language, these so many languages have evolved. So this language is sometimes called by the historians as Proto-Dravidian. Proto-Dravidian. Now we are going to look at the decline of the civilization. How the civilization had declined. How Indus Valley civilization had come to a stop. Okay. There are four theories of decline. The first theory of decline was that, as we know, from around 1750 BC, the major cities of Indus Valley civilization had declined. And from 1750 till 1500 BC, Indus Valley civilization has come to almost a complete decline, and it had completely ceased to exist, is what historians have told. For that, they have given some theories. The first theory is by recurring floods. Recurring floods. As we know, the civilization existed on the banks of many rivers, and due to intermittent floods in these rivers, this civilization is said to have been completely destroyed because of the floods that happened in between. And this theory was given by Sir John Marshall. Because of the intermittent floods, and in history there were around 8 to 9 major floods during this period, and because of these floods, all the civilization and all the cities of the sites of the civilization had been destroyed, is what Sir John Marshall has said. And the next theory, or the one most prominent theory among them, is the Aryan invasion theory. The Aryan invasion theory. It was given by Mortimer Wheeler. Mortimer Wheeler. It is also known as migration theory. It is also known as migration theory. This theory states that a race known as Aryans came from the Persian region and attacked the Indus Valley people and defeated them and destroyed the civilization. This is what the theory says, that a group of Aryans came from elsewhere, from the Persian region, and they had attacked and defeated and destroyed the Indus Valley civilization. This is known as migration theory or Aryan invasion theory. It was given by Mortimer Wheeler. The next theory is environmental factors. It was given by Rakes and Dales. The theory put forward by them is that for cultivation, the Indus Valley people had cut down trees on the river banks, and they had cultivated the land for 5 years, and once the fertility is lost, they will shift to another place, and there also they will cut down the tree so that they will have a plain land for cultivation. Then they will cultivate there, then again they will shift from there to another place. This happens, and in short, over a period of time, a lot of trees had been cut down, and this had created so many ecological problems, and it changed the environment there, so that the people was not able to sustain or live there due to negative environmental effects. And that was how the civilization came to an end, is what Rakes and Dales had told. Okay. And the last theory of decline is the spread of communicable diseases like malaria. It was put forward by Kenneth Kennedy, and what he has told is that here they have identified skeletons with malarial markings on the skulls of the skeletons in Mohenjo-daro that showed that these people had died due to malarial disease. And out of that, Kennedy came to the conclusion that communicable diseases like malaria had spread throughout the civilization and had destroyed the people and had completely wiped them out. Okay, so these are the four theories: recurring floods, Aryan invasion theory or migration theory, environmental factors, and communicable diseases like malaria. But from a logical standpoint and from recent developments, scientists have come to the view that none of these theories of decline single-handedly have ended the civilization, because as we know, there are many cities which are not on the banks of any rivers. So if there are floods in some rivers, there are still other cities that are not affected by the floods. So this is not the reason for the entire collapse or the entire decline of the civilization. Then Aryans must have come to the country. Aryans must have defeated and killed some Indus Valley people and sites, destroyed some sites, but that doesn't mean they have killed everyone out of all the Indus Valley sites. So that is also not practically possible. Then because of environmental factors, maybe people were not able to live in some places, but they must have left the place and went somewhere else and started living. They will not have died there because of the environmental condition. So this theory is also not practically feasible. 100%. Then communicable diseases, it will spread from one city to the nearby cities, but it will not be spreading to the entire civilization. That is also not practically possible. So all these reasons must have combined in a combined manner, affected the civilization and the way people live, and they must have left the civilization there and must have gone to other parts of the country to live. And the historians are currently of the inference that Indus Valley people have come to the northwestern plains in the UP Bihar region, northwestern plains in the UP Bihar region, where people were already living there and having cultivation there. Then they must have come to the Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh region, Nimar region. There they might have come and started living there. So the main point is that they have left the civilization and the features of civilization there. They must have come here, but they are not following any features of the Indus Valley civilization that they used to live in. Here there were people living in their own way, their own methods, their own culture. In that part, when the people came there, they must have integrated with the people and the lifestyle there. When the people came here, they must have integrated with the lifestyle there. And none of them had taken the culture or features of the Indus Valley civilization with them to these different places. And hence, the historians are now in conclusion that all these reasons will have made the people to migrate from the Indus Valley cities to the rest of the part of the country, abandoning the civilization around 1500 BC. Thus, our Indus Valley civilization comes to an decline or comes to an end, which had existed from 2500 BC till 1500 BC. Okay, this is the end of the topic, the Indus Valley civilization. Thank you.